Congressman, good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
You joined a bipartisan group from the House and the Senate to reintroduce the U.S. Postal Service Fairness Act. Why is this so necessary?
You know, the U.S. Postal Service has been under requirement since 2007 to pre-fund their retirement benefits for 75 years. It costs them around $5 billion a year, and no other agency is required to do that. And that's caused the Postal Service to have real financial problems. And in fact, they're going to run out of money by 2024. So our bipartisan, bicameral bill would remove this requirement, allow them to pay for benefits as they go, and would allow the Postal Service to invest in operations and technology and to do a better job of delivering the mail that we all rely on.
Yeah. And so if this passes, does this mean suddenly the Postal Service will be flush with cash?
Well, actually, they would be profitable. It's amazing that this is the only reason the Postal Service is not. In fact, we had to bail out the Postal Service last year because of some of the issues they were having with funding, and particularly during a pandemic. I think we're all understanding just how much we rely on the mail. I mean, the Postal Service delivers your packages. Of course, they allow you to stay in touch with your friends and family. For our veterans, 80% of them get their medications in the mail. Our seniors are relying on their checks coming in the mail and their medication in the mail. And so this is a critical service and one that I think benefits everyone.
Let me ask you about the stimulus bill. President Biden seems open to $1,400 payments. Compromise is significant.
Absolutely. I think that President Biden has said that while he wants to make sure that these payments go out, he's willing to negotiate in terms of the targeting of who receives it. And of course, I think he's not married to any dollar figure in terms of the overall package. I think he's trying as hard as he can to be reasonable, to attract bipartisan support for this. But either way, we're going to pass legislation that's going to help our North Texans and Americans get through this crisis, because a lot of the benefits that we put in place in the CARES Acts are going to be expiring next month, and they have to be extended.
Congressman, I want to ask you about the state of Congress today. The last time we talked to you, you said that the situation was still pretty raw up there after the pro-Trump mob ransacked the Capitol on January the 6th. Members of Congress now who skipped the metal detectors going into the House chambers are charged $5,000 for a fine for skipping it for the first time, $10,000 for the second time. There's a situation with Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. How has the situation changed? Has it improved? What does it feel like today?
Well, I think it depends on the committee you're on and who you're working with. I just got off of a foreign affairs bipartisan committee hearing that I thought was quite productive, and I think there's still a lot of folks here who recognize that we need to work together. But certainly, we are facing one of the greatest attacks on our democracy in our history. So there has to be accountability. I think that is a part of healing. For you to move forward, you have to have the folks who are responsible held accountable. But we all, I think, also recognize that we're in the midst of a pandemic. We're in the midst of an economic crisis, that we have real and serious challenges facing us that we have to address. And we're going to continue to try to do that as well.
I want to ask about the impeachment. 17 Republicans would have to join Democrats in the Senate in order to get a conviction over there. There doesn't seem to be support in the Republican caucus to actually do that. Is a conviction really necessary at this point?
Well, listen, the House does its duty in terms of passing the impeachment resolution and sending it to the Senate for trial there. And I would expect that the United States Senate would follow its duty and conduct a fair trial and have a fair outcome. But this is an important part of accountability. The President of the United States assembled this mob and lit the flame of the attack. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of Liz Cheney, the number 3 Republican in the House. And there has to be accountability for that. There is no January exception to impeachment, that if you do it in January, if you try to overthrow a government or have a coup in January, that you can't be impeached. That would make the end of any presidency a period in which anything could happen. I don't think that is the route we want to go down. But it's also important because a conviction would prevent the president from running for re-election or ever holding federal office again. That's one of the most important aspects of the impeachment power. And I think that is something that's also appropriate here.
All right. Congressman Colin Allred, good to see you again.
Thanks so much, Jason.